let's begin here. So the Moogle's first seed, what we're gonna do is kind of play through a Moogle seed with the Moogle flags. And as I play, Drinks Glue will be playing, and Falcon Hit and Peril will go over the various things I am looking for, the thought processes, their individual thought processes. What are you looking for? How you can progress through the seed? How can you save time? And also, just everything in general. It's an introductory playthrough through a Worlds Collide seed for a new player, so they can get a grasp of what's going on and learn the game. So with
Excellent.
that in mind, always put your cursor on memory. Don't use standard, use memory. But getting started, just before we load up the seed, Falcon Hit, what are some of the important flags you look for? Some things you highlight when you are looking over a seed and formulating a strategy?
Well, first off, you have to check the level scaling, right? Because if it's two, it's a very relaxed seed. You can take more aggressive like checks. You can pump up your scaling a lot. But if it's something like 2.5, that is that can get dangerous. Generally, you don't want to go over. Okay, so with 2 level factor, you can go to about 7 characters espers at maximum because, well, partially is it have partially it has to do with element scaling, but we'll talk about that later. But if it's 2.5, then you can only get up to about 5, maybe 6. 6 is pushing it. It's just knowing how your limits, right? Knowing your party, how well your party will perform, and going from there.
Peril, what does that C plus E mean right there in front of the 2?
That means characters plus espers. So that means that for each character and esper you find, the sum of that number will get multiplied by 2, and that's going to be the scaling factor for, in this case, levels and HPMP. I can see that in this case, for example, compared to Ultra Sleeve, which is our main racing flag set, dragons are not accounted for scaling on level and HP, but they are accounted for in EXP and GP. So if you kill the dragon, everything else is gonna yield more XP and GP, but they're not gonna get more difficult. So that's a strat that you might wanna take into account.
And one last thing on the build level scaling is the max scaling for a Moogle Cup flag set is 40. So that means you can only progress your enemies' levels up to level 40, and they won't go any higher, save for the final boss, which in most flag sets is going to be unscaled, and it's a much higher level in the 70s and high 60s. So keep in mind, level 40, that's the highest level your Ultrosses that you fight, your Maro, or your Poltergeists will be. Another thing I wanted to touch on before we begin, one important thing that in every seed that you should look out for is the hash. So we're pretty fortunate because we got a double Bannon in the hash. The hash is the 4 assorted characters. We got a Leo, we got a Daryl. Yeah, a lot of returners. Neither returner or Imperial and Daryl, and then we got General Leo, 1 Imperial. So go returners with this hash. Quality hash right there. Let's go over the objectives real fast. What's an objective, and what are we doing with that?
Okay.
Well, you want to take this one, Falcon?
Sure. Objectives are conditions that, well, below objectives are conditions, and when you fulfill the conditions of the objective, you will complete the objective. So you see G, it says high tier armor. The condition of getting this high tier armor would be either saving Sid or letting Sid die. And when either of these is done, you will get the high tier armor. You don't know which high tier armor it is. It could be something fantastic, like, say, a Minerva, or something not as good as, I don't know, a Force armor or a Cat. But that is why we play the randomizer.
Yep. One quick note about the rewards. This flag set, the Bull Cup flag set, has premium rewards. That means you're getting like there we go. That's the list. Thank you, Glue. You're pretty much getting a jackpot out of that. So there's only 1 armor, right, in this list. So
I think armor includes. No, does it include shields? maybe not. So is it always just always a Minerva?
No, it's probably a shield. Yeah, probably shields should be included in that. So you get an elemental shield or a Minerva. So any of those, I'm pretty much you're gonna get some utility out of it.
Alright, and lastly, our most important objectives are unlock conditions. So to beat the World's Collide seed, you beat Final Kefka just like you would in the vanilla game in Kefka's Tower. And then you can set various conditions. So you can set a condition so that you can find it. So I have to find Locke and Mog, or whatever you want. X amount of number of Espers, a number of dragons. Plethora of options available. But for most flag sets, it's going to revolve around the characters and Espers that you acquire. So we're starting with 3 characters. We'll need to find 3 more characters and 9 total Espers to be able to beat the game. And then to unlock Kefka Tower Skip allows us to bypass much of the walking through Kefka's Tower, the final dungeon, and right up to the switches where we cut the number of bosses we have to fight almost in half. And it's a real time save. To unlock the skip and the World Cup flag sets, we will need to find any 2 of 9 characters, 12 Espers, or complete 22 checks. Checks are character checks, which we'll touch on when we load up the seed. Also, dragons count as checks. And there are 2 checks in the Opera House as well. Oh, and the Zen Thief, excuse me. And probably others I'm forgetting. So, with that in mind, guys, you ready? Is there anything else you want to touch on before we go?
All right. Good luck.
I think that's everything. Good luck.
Ooh.
Alright, so let's take a look at their statuses and their abilities. Well, Pero, what are you looking for in abilities to get you going in a seed to get started?
I like to have some AoE skills very early on that can clear some grind battles very easily. But I can see that we have a very strong lore list right there with Grand Train on the list. And we also have Control Saving, which is questionable, and Assorta Gao plus GP Brain, which is a very solid Gao if you ask me.
Yeah, it's very nice.
So yeah, I was just gonna say that since we have Terra, usually the first step is to come here and loot the basement. And one of the topics we're gonna discuss, well, Blue is going over all the looting chests, is what do you do at the very beginning of the seed? Usually you'll see in most Worlds Collide runs, it's gonna be a lot of looting and a lot of shopping for the first 10-ish minutes of the run. And we usually tend to go to a few select places that contain a lot of chests in one room. Like, chest density is very important to be efficient with looting, because you're not gonna spend like 15 seconds walking to one lone chest somewhere else. So we try to go into certain areas, and this one in particular, that Imperial Basement, is probably the most chest dense area in the entire game.
Pop quiz, Falcon Hit. How many chests are in the Imperial Treasure Room?
13?
Beautiful.
I was gonna say 10.
It's 13.
Sure.
I know because I just counted.
Yeah. Oh, Gar in chat saying control makes grinds very, very safe. That is true. Control is a little bit improved in Worlds Collide, and even if you hit something like Doom Dragons, you can fall in one them, and you can do stuff that you wouldn't expect to be able to do with control. So it's a nice defensive skill to have, I guess.
It's very nice early. It makes there are a lot of formations in Worlds Collide where it's like one single enemy, like 1x Chimera, and
yes.
There's even the 1x Gigantos, right? Control, you just don't have to think about it because it makes those fights very simple. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
So guys, I am grabbing a few more chests. They're out of the way that I would typically not advise getting, but I think it's important for newer players to grab those chests, just so they are giving themselves that, one, knowing that they are there if they ever do want to grab them, and two, just showing all the options available that exist that are within reason. There is a chest I bypassed on the lava switches, but it does take a comical amount of time to get to that switch chest, so that's why I passed that one up. But that switch chest where you fall off. That's not that much out of the way, and it's within reason if you want to go and grab it for a beginning player.
Right. Right, so we're reaching the end of Silk, and we're gonna get a reward for this. Let's see what we get. Not a character.
How did you know that's not a character, Pero?
You can look at the sprite and see if it's a character or not. And ooh. If you're gonna get a dead chick, that's the one that you wanna get, basically.
Yep, beautiful experience egg. Experience is the lifeblood of what Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide.
Yeah. If you need power, just level it up. And it's arguably the best item in the game, maybe, or top 3 item in the game.
Top 3 item for sure.
All right, so we're still in the early game. We're looting. We're looking for items. What specifically are we looking for in order to get our seed started?
With this particular start, there is one item I desperately want, and if I don't find it, I'm gonna fade something. And that item is dried meat. So right now, if I am able to find dried meat and complete one of Gao's checks, the belt on the check on the belt, the only monster I would encounter right now is a Lobo. Oh my goodness, another experience egg.
Holy, this seed is incredible.
We might turn this into a
Full
speed run, guys. We might have to duck out. No, I'm kidding. So the reason I want to find dried meat now, because I'm going to go to a Apparel Camp at some point as well. And we're going to sell an experience egg. Don't ever do this, ladies and gentlemen. But
Oh
just
my
because
No,
we
Sam.
we want to showcase a few different things. So
My
I'm going to
eyes.
turn one for our red jacket. But
Oh no, misclick, misclick.
but so we're gonna do Imperial Camp. Imperial Camp's gonna be at least 4 encounters, and those encounters, when we do them, whatever those formations are, they will start appearing on the Veldt. So that means right now the Veldt is incredibly easy to do because we just fight a Lobo. If there's some level magic, some nastier encounters that we run into Imperial Camp and they get pushed to the Veldt, you can get trolled very easily at the Veldt now. So basically, it's find dried meat, do the Veldt now, or don't do it at all, in my opinion. Unless you have to later on.
It is dependent on what bosses and what fights do you do. If you have fought Senor Behemoth, White Dragon, and like Marshall with Ogres, yeah, I'm not touching that Veldt ever.
That is very bad. Another thing you can do if you really, really need to do it, you can start taking random battles, so you can add more encounters to the Veldt. Generally, the encounters are not that difficult, so the more encounters you add, the safer it becomes. If you have like Lobo or White Dragon, then it's very dangerous. But if it's like 5 relatively easy encounters and 1 White Dragon, then it becomes much easier.
Yep.
So just to recap on the item shop. So there's 2 items in item shops that are kind of must buy when you come across them. I did buy a few other things. If there's some sleeping bags there, I'd probably wait. And the other thing I would have sold some stuff to buy immediately is warp stones. Just because there's warp stones exist, but they can be buried or not shuffled enough into a on the path item shop. So you may play a lot of seeds where you don't see warp stones, and that's just because they are somewhere you don't typically go. Like one of the versions of Jador that you just don't have Realm, or if it's World of Malice Jador, there's no reason to go there unless you're doing the Opera House play at the end of the seed. So you won't come across them. So if you do happen to come across warp stones in an item shop, it's highly advised you buy 4 or 5 right there, because there's a good chance you won't come across them again later. Ooh, Dragon Horn.
Papa showed us true. We start with 3 warp stones in this place.
Yeah, you start with 3 and move up. A 4 or 5 is the magic number, just because there's, I think I counted one time, and there's 8 places where you could logically want to warp out of. But the odds of you going to all 8 of those places in one seed is highly improbable. But 4 or 5 you will definitely come across.
Sometimes, if you have a little bit of extra cash, it's nice to buy a few extra warp stones just in case you don't find smoke bombs and you need to run away from, I don't know, outsiders or any other nasty fights that can outright wipe you.
That's why I usually buy 7, because if you don't find smoke bombs, you can use them as smoke bombs.
Yep.
So back on the topic of loot locations, the Imperial Checkpoint Basement, very good. South Figaro Basement, also very good. And this Returner's Hideout, also very good. Other locations that you could check are the Narsh Treasure House. That is 6 chests, I believe. Narsh itself is 8, but there's also one in the Elder's House clock that I usually never get. And both South Figaros have chests, different chests. So if you go to one, you can go to the other. You get another 6 chests for a relatively low time investment. Some of the more out-of-the-way ones are Thamasa. They share chests between the 2 worlds, so you don't have to ever go to one. And you can also go to Albrook. That has a full suite of shops, as well as... How many chests? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 chests in World of Balance. 6? 6 in World of Balance. And if you go to World of Ruin, you can also get the one on the dock.
Sometimes you can chain shopping with checks. Like, for example, Thamasa, you can do looting and shopping and then get right into Horny House or Emotes, which is right on top there if you're in the World of Ruin. Or sometimes after a check, like Shadows Giving the Veld, after you do the check, you end up in World of Ruin Thamasa, so you can loot and shop after that. So you can route a little bit of looting and shopping after your checks and not lose so much time.
So here's a question a lot of brew players ask in my mentor sessions, and just in general. When would you guys say is a good spot when you stop looting and start taking checks? In this exact scenario, probably the moment I came across a second experience egg, I would have turned around, walked out of South Figaro, and started doing stuff. But I'm trying to, again, we're trying to showcase a little bit more than just that. So when would you say, just in general and as a whole, are you ready to go and get out and cook it in the real world?
Well, depending on the starting skills. Right now we have Lore with a very powerful spell, so if I came across something like a Gold Hairpin or an Randomizer that allows me to cast Grand Train very early, I could just walk just right with that. Maybe in this case you have Fire and Ice Roads that can also power through some fights. So I could get a few rods so I can level up and then cast Grand Train and progress on. I can GP Rain, so there's plenty of offense. You can jumpstart this pretty early.
Personally, for me, I like to pace myself based on my characters and espers. So if I have, like, right now, we have 3 characters. If I'm doing free checks and I'm getting espers, I like to either stop or, like, start doing normal checks, stop looting, when my timer gets past 3 times my characters and espers. So if I had, say, 3 characters, 2 espers, I would stop looting at about 15 minutes. If you're a newer player, you can go up to 4 times, so it would be, like 20 minutes? But this is how I like to pace myself, right? Because if I'm starting my checks before that timing, then I know I'm in a very good spot. But if I'm doing it afterwards, then I know I have to, like, pick up the pace.
So just a little touch on the point here. Miranda has 2 treasure chests available to it. One at the end, one at the beginning on the little boxes. And if you notice, there's only a weapon shop and an item shop, which is fantastic, but it's not as dense, full of all the complete shops like an Albrook or a Thamasa or both South Figaro and World of Balance or World of Ruin. So I've come across 1 hero wing and 1 earring. I still want to find possibly a Gold Hairpin or a Colonizer for that Grand Train Terror. That would be fantastic. Ooh, speaking of Uno, we're gonna leave that there for now. Oops, I did forget this.
We'll have Minier, right?
You 1000% want to write down, if you can afford it, pick up that Illumina right now, because Illumina is not only the best sword in the game, it's also one of the best defensive items because of the evasion it gives you. And a Minerva, goodness gracious. Okay. So a few things I am still looking for is earrings, economizers, gold hairpins,
Oh,
gill
there we go.
hairpin. Yeah, so
There it is.
But yes, basically anything that can jumpstart your seed. This can include rods. I know Drinksloo got some rods in Willowbound Snarch that can be used to get through your first few fights. And the first few fights are always the most difficult because you are level 3 and your enemies in an Ultra League and also this flag set are level 6.
so here's
the first fight, very important.
So I'm going to pick up this Gale Hairpin, and the reason why is I have 2 checks with my beginning characters that are going to be fixed encounters that I'm going to do. So what I like to do in that situation, I know I'm about to go do about 10-ish fixed encounters, is Gale Hairpin available. Not Gold Hairpin, Gale Hairpin. Throw it on there, and then just get some of those fights in a preemptive state, and it just makes it so much safer for you, and a little bit quicker too as well. All just for the price of 6,800 GP, which when it comes time to buy the Zen Thief, I'll just turn around and dispose of it. So really 3,400 GP to shave off a few seconds that I can afford right now, I am 100% all for.
Concussed Gamer says, a big issue I find as a newer player is judging how much power is needed for KT. That, I think, comes from experience. Wow, that is one of the least expensive 10 Thieves I've seen in a very long time.
We'll take it in this economy.
Toretto for discount.
So
I think it's an experience thing, but also there are times when you have to challenge yourself, right? You can't always just like go to KT level 45, full Atma weapon, Illumina, full armor. Sometimes you have to challenge yourself. I remember when I was starting out, I did a lot of like quick runs, which is runs where as soon as I got requirements, I was in KT. If I was level 29, it didn't matter. Just try to like finish Kefka at your current level. And this taught me, wow, this is really horrific trying to do KT at level 29. But these are things you have to do yourself, right? I can tell you like, oh, don't go to KT at level 29. It's just very difficult. But unless you like experience it, you'll just like be like, oh, I could just do that.
Yeah, and fortunately,
that's fine. If you hit Magimaster, that's when you learn. There are strategies to deal with Magimaster that you can learn. But
fortunately, sorry.
all I'll say is that I lost a lot of runs doing this. Like once I like died, or I like get wiped on Kefka, I was just like, throw it in the bin. And then we learned that we need to get more power, and then we run again.
That is true, very true.
So here's a good question for you guys. Who gets the experience egg?
Ooh, that's a good question.
With Illumina, with Illumina on the table, Terra is a great option, but also it will make a Sortex 7, I think.
So we also have this to come online later on. This Atma weapon is worthless to us now, almost worthless to us now, but keep in mind it can go on Terra. We also have this on Gal.
Did the Esper have any bonuses?
MP plus 10, so negligible.
Not worth.
Yeah.
So I would put the experience egg on Terra because I really want to get use out of this Atma weapon, and in my opinion, Atma weapon plus experience egg is one of the best scaling weapons in the game.
100%. I think that's the right move too, because one, she's the war user, so the sooner she's online and has 74 MP to cast Grand Train, we're a little bit safer in some of our fights. So experience egg here. I did in my looting phase find an ore lance Saban could wear. I found the dragon horn in the South Figaro basement, and then we found dragon boots in Narsh. So we went from a worthless Saban to a pretty powerful Saban just by based on what we found. And then last but not least, we just gonna throw that Blizzard on Gal. We'll let Gal be the Moogle Charm mule. And we're gonna do this now because we did find dried meat.
Nice. I just wanted to mention while you do this check, just to wrap the KT discussion that we had already, is that there is a way to practice like the final climb in Seedbot. If you do like, I think it's / practice, or there's a command. I cannot recall it right now by memory, but maybe someone in chat can help me. But there is a command that you can type to get a practice seed for Final Kefka, and so you can try different setups, different levels, different stuff, and you don't have to run a full seed just to get an opportunity to fight Final Kefka. Thanks to Schwantes for that one, by the way.
So let's talk about logical routing and why doing the belt. So why am I doing the belt and then not going to Imperial Camp here, guys? What am I doing next?
Well, Veld is like steps away from the entrance of the trench, so time-wise, it's very convenient because you only have to walk into the next check.
Yep, exactly.
And
well put.
And as we mentioned earlier, doing any other fights will pollute the belt and make it much harder to complete later on.
You also want to take, if you're getting an Esper, you want to get it as early as possible because it might have a level bonus on it. And it might seem a little bit obvious, but level bonuses lose their value as you gain levels, right? Because you lose the opportunity to get this bonus. And in Worlds Collide, it's very easy to get from, say, level 3 to level 20. But it's much more difficult to get from level 20 to level, like, 33.
Yeah, and another rule of thumb, that Terrado that has Fire 2, that's incredibly valuable to me now. But if we find that 35 minutes from now, it's absolutely worthless. So it set what that was the Zen Thief Esper. So that gives me value now. Ooh, this is
one of those fights where control is very useful because it's a single enemy fight. All you have to do is control it, and it's done. Magic will not break control, but physical attacks will. So if you have control mixed with a magical, say, ability or rods, you can use those.
And you can see from this guy's abilities, these guys, the three-headed guys are scary. The other one can use Aqua Rake on you. You generally don't want to mess around with these guys.
Yep. This one sprite, it will kill you more times than you can count. The TP Tops will also break it? Oh, I see. Maybe that counts as like a physical...
GP Rain
will break the control.
Will break it.
I see. But yeah, it turns a very dangerous fight into... Like, this is a fight that I would run from with a Morph into a very, very simple fight.
Because as you can see, I have 63 HP. That arrow is going to do triple digit damage to me. And even if I was level 10 already or something, I'm still very much in danger just from this one fight. And then you can see
I had to see how many turns it took, right? Would you really survive 3 turns against this enemy? I'm not likely. Oh, also, you learned Arrow for your lore user.
Beautiful.
That is absolutely perfect.
That's actually... that's a great showcase of how control is useful in the first handful of fights when you are in immediate danger. That fight was, again, that one boss is very scary. He's not the Dinosaur Forest enemies you come across. He's not, the Slagworm that's in the Miranda Desert. So inherently not very scary, but very dangerous that a lot of players will not maybe possibly realize. Can't do lore. Let's do one more rod.
Yeah. You didn't put the herping on camera, that's why.
And there's the power of the experience, ladies and gentlemen.
Fleshstar would do 80 times the level, and in some cases it is better, but Arrow is also, I think it does 120 spell power. I think they're about equivalent, because current level is, what, 10? Maybe play some of them in the look at it. This is one of those things that are a little bit nitpicky, right? Because it might have sped it up, it might not have sped it up, but it's pretty much equivalent.
Alright, so if you do the right-left path, that gives you access to 1 chest plus 4 boss fights in the Serpent Trench. You can go the other direction and shave off one encounter, but it's a little bit longer, so that's always my preferred destination.
Great grind battles.
Fantastic grind battles.
This is another one that's a little bit
Yeah.
can be a little bit scary early if you like you've already gained levels, but if you're like level 3, you just like get haymakered and you're very sad.
Yeah, but you can control the GT Behemoth for Meteor and Ice Road the 2 dragons and 1 hit them, I think.
Oh,
Oh,
here
no.
comes other. Oh no! Oh, stop it! Let's talk about this. So, I am running from this battle. I could break another rod, but in the interest of showcasing some other things and not getting overpowered and leaving the trench level 25, we're gonna run from that battle and just get out of the trench and go on about our business.
Pretty fantastic, right?
Yeah, the 2 experiencing these fights in the trench. Oh, is this guy scary? I don't know. This is, even though okay, we're good.
No,
This is break a
he's
warp
sleeping.
stone and get out of here, guy.
He is sleeping. But if you can open your menu after this, you can see what I'm talking about where you want Espers early. Drinksley started at level 3. I think right now he's level 14.
I'm gonna say 18.
18?
I'm gonna say Terra's 18. The rest are 14.
Yeah.
What do you think, Pero?
Like, ooh, offering.
Hot goodness.
This will be useful later on.
Yeah, this will be very useful. So we're gonna
You can either sell to get it now, or you can.
put
come
that
back
away.
later.
We're gonna come back later, possibly if we don't get to another. That's also incredibly valuable to do the trench now because we're still kind of in that phase where shopping is very viable. Once we are rocking and rolling, we kind of already are rocking and rolling, but later on you don't want to be visiting that many shops once you're kind of set up because you don't want to cherry pick your offense. You know, Atma Terra offering is a very viable build. If you prefer, Ragnaroks or Illuminas, that is fine, but you don't want to go wasting your time looking for that when you have S tier option number 1, when you prefer S tier option number 2, just because we know Illuminas exist in this seed, but it's highly unlikely, and there is even flags in a lot of flag sets that it will be on that say, hey, you can't find these in shops. And it's not
Level
even an
13.
option.
I was kind of close. But you can see what I mean, right? You gain 10 levels in 1 check. So if you want to like go hard on Espers, right? Because you could like switch worlds, do Collapsing House for a free check, do any number of free checks. Say you had a different loadout. Say you had like Hawk, Setzer. There's a lot of free checks you can do. You can pump up your scaling super high and then gamble that the Esper has something good on it. Oh, this is...
We get a statue.
So if you didn't know, when you come into this fight before, you do get a free heal, so that's why my guy was laying down taking a nap, and now he has popped right back up. I don't think I bypassed over this in the flags, but multi-summon is on in Moogle Cup flags, and Bahamut is a very powerful in-game summon in itself. So, as you can see, decently long animation time, not super long. Pero, what can you steal from Doom, if I had to steal by chance?
I never stole from Doom. I am embarrassed right now. I know he drops the Skyrunner. Can you steal from him? I don't even know.
You can steal a safety bit.
Yeah, it gives you a safety
okay.
bit. I think it's the same for the rare.
Interesting.
Do I have one? So I'm looking to get Terror's MP back up, so let's go ahead and do this.
Yeah, as Guard says, it's a pretty low tier reward for stealing Doom. Whereas with Spicy Chicken, you can steal a Red Jacket, and Goddess, you can steal a Minerva.
Alright, so Saban's jump should kill him because he goes into his force build shaking phase after 2 times damage, and if 2 jumps and a Bahamut puts him in that phase, then another Bahamut, or excuse me, a Grand Train and another jump should do just half of his damage by virtue of that same combination doing half of his damage the first time, and if 50% plus more than 50% adds up for over more than 100%, boss dies.
Get a cute cutscene.
So nice thing about Saban, Saban has 3 checks that are all in a very condensed part of the world that are not that far from Gao's. So it's a very nice logical sequence. After doing the Serpent Trench, I don't think there's any rhyme or reason to do any of these other than these 3 because you're in the area. And what order is debatable. Most people probably do Imperial Camp, but I just wanted that free heal to showcase that off with the down character. So we got another Esper. One thing I want to touch on. Ooh, baby. Who's this going on, guys? Let's debate this. This is a good one.
Oh,
Raid onto Gao.
Yeah, if we can unlock that Circuit 7, it's gonna be blasting.
So what does a Hyper Wrist do for a character's strength?
It increases the vigor by 1.5 times.
Yep. So, you can see he already has 45 vigor now, and we have a Hyper Wrist. We actually don't have to let that sit on him that long, because we just need them to get to 128 vigor total, because anything after that is a waste. So there is a chance where we want to take that off of him once he's approaching that that milestone with his Hyper Wrist, and then we could throw that Esper on someone else and let somebody else run quick as well. What am I doing? I need that guy. Just take that. Okay.
Just a quick note on vigor, because many runners do not know. There aren't many skills that benefit from pure vigor, and the 2 most important ones are Sortek, and not all of the Sorteks, just the physical Sorteks, which are 1, 4, and 7, and then physical throw is also affected by vigor a lot.
Yep. Yeah, vigor
of course,
is.
Yeah, vigor also applies to physical attacks, but it is not as important as other stuff, like for example levels or like a hero ring, stuff like that.
Yeah, vigor plays a much higher factor in sword tech and throw and the damage formula because it's a little different than physical attacks, normal attacks. Oh no.
Yeah, Confused Gamer, you are correct. Physical tools are also affected. Drill, chainsaw, and auto crossbow too, I think.
Yep.
Yes, auto crossbow as well.
So auto crossbow just scales off very, very fast, as you may have realized if you ever played the vanilla game. Ooh, this is a great fight. There's a great fights everywhere.
Enemies are
very
to revivify.
If it looks like a skeleton, then it dies to a revivify.
Yeah, these are fantastic fights, except for the Antagar. Ooh, and hello, Edgar.
The king is home. We have the Figure Bros in the party now.
So I think my party composition is complete. We're gonna see what Edgar has, and then figure some stuff out. But I this is good enough for me because we got Saban that can jump if I want him to. We got Gao who will have a 10,782 vigor at some point in time, with possibly Sword Tech 7. We got Terra who has the experience taken in that weapon. Plus she already has lore to do stuff first in the now. So even if we don't want to break up any of our characters' builds, we can just let Edgar kind of sit there and do whatever he wants to do.
Or we can buy the Illumina.
Oh yeah, we can go buy an Illumina. We have that Gauntlet. We know Aura Lances were in Miranda because Miranda always has the goods. We can also let Edgar be the jumper if we want. A lot of options on the table. All right, now that I found character number 4, what do you guys think I should go next, and where and why?
I would just, well, I would do Edgar's free check, right? Because it's, Clyde is, what is it? Deeper than it is wide, so it's likely a character will lead to another character. So if you want characters, you should follow the checks of your most recently obtained character.
Mm-hmm.
So I would do Edgar's free check because it's right there. Well, if you want to scout around, you could. There are a lot of peekable checks you can do as well. Like Phantom Train is a peekable check. Terra's what is it? Well, Cave is a very quick check. You still have a lot of quick checks.
I do want to showcase what one of the most valuable things about Edgar. I think the correct play from a routing standpoint right here is go to the Figaro Throne. If that's a character, then I can start playing pick only the checks I really like to do and fade the checks that are less desirable. Like Wheat River would be one of Terra's checks I really don't want to do. Mount Colt is probably Saban's least favorable check. So I can find that character, and then I can start playing pick the character checks I like as opposed to just find the character and go on and so forth. But what Edgar does do for you is Edgar gives you a 50% discount in Water Ruin South Figaro and in the Figaro Castle item shops if he is on top of the lead character in your party. So as you can see, that circlet costs 3k. Let's do a little switcheroo. Let's see if they like Saban as much as Edgar. Oh, nope, they don't. It's 6k. And we're going to pick up both circlets. Why not?
But yeah, this is very valuable to double your money, basically. Say there's a rod in the weapon shop. You can pick up twice as many rods.
Yep. Alright, so with that in mind, I think I touched on Figaro Castle is probably the correct play, but let's go to Figaro Castle another way. Let's do this.
I like this move.
What did he have? I think he had Blitz.
From a racing standpoint, this would be a little bit premature because one, you can save your pickable checks. Say you're like you only need an Esper or you only need a character. This check, the Figaro Engine Room, is a pickable check. You will know whether it is a character or, well, either an Esper or an item. There are also much faster checks that you can do, like Saban, the Collapsing House is in the area. You might have wanted to do that before doing or committing a boss fight, right? Because this Collapsing House could be an Esper with, say, +2 magic. And if you do it before, you get the benefit of the +2 magic.
I do think there is a little bit of decision paralysis with this exact starting party because Terror Siltgate, that's a fantastic opening check, and where everybody is going to pretty much go when you have a Terror start, and that's where you should go because it's so chest dense, and then it takes you about 3 minutes to get through there if you're efficient. And then we have Gal with the Cave on the Belt, or excuse me, not Cave on the Belt, Serpent Trance and the Belt, and then we have Saban with 2 fantastic starting opening checks. All told, that's 5 checks right there, plus, you know, now that we have Edgar with another free check, there's just a lot of great options. So I am a big believer that we can have a discussion about the fastest, and we can pull out a timer and see who's right and who's wrong in a routing standpoint. But whatever you do decide, I just believe that you should go there with conviction. Don't fly around looking around. Formulate an idea, make it a good idea, and commit to it and get through it the best way you can and the fastest way you can. Because when you gollygag around, you could have been spending that time from a racing standpoint or from a competitive standpoint doing something anyways.
And sometimes even the most efficient check choice doesn't work. Maybe your perfect checks are all in Narsh because you have Terra and you have Mog and you can do all the checks in World of Narsh, and maybe 3 out of 4 are dead. it was the right choice because it was the most efficient one, but maybe that's not where progression was, and maybe progression is that Strago checks. And that sometimes happens, and there's nothing you can do about it. But as Blue said, just committed to something, just go and do it, and push forward.
Yep, that is the heart of the randomizer. Sometimes the most efficient choice is the not incorrect, but like not the one that leads to progress. Right. For example, if you want to be, it depends on how like greedy you are, right? Because on this opener, one of the things that I would consider is sealed cave, collapsing house, or sealed cave, send thief in world of balance, and then if I find dried meat there, I can do collapsing house, world of ruin, Veld to get the check, and then you can completely skip Serpent Trench. And if you like flip worlds, you're right on top of Imperial Camp, so you can just go to Imperial Camp. This is like, you can get creative with your routing if you like. So I guess is what I'm saying. Don't feel like constricted into doing, oh, we can do this like certain, a very narrow like guild effect. You can do whatever you want. That's the beauty of Worlds Collide.
Yeah. And one of the things that got introduced recently to reduce a little bit of that punishment of getting dead checks is that we have check skip, which is sort of a cutoff of how much bad luck you can get until you get something good, right? So at some point you get the skip. At least in Ultra League it's easier because Moogle Cup requires you to do 2 out of 3. Ultra League is just one of them. That's that.
So I'm gonna introduce a little advanced level theory. So I just got an Esper. I'm gonna come up here and either get another character Esper or item. Then I'm gonna go down to the basement and I'm gonna walk all the way to the Odin statue and get another character Esper or item. And then that is when I will open my menu and see what everything did for me or didn't do. That way I am consolidating 3 Esper checks or 3 character checks or whatever all into one. Because you can very easily get that Esper down there in the engine room, check out, see what it does. You're going into the menu, maybe you get locked in the Esper shuffle, you put it on somebody. We go up to the throne, that's another magic power plus 2 Esper or magic power plus 1. You say, oh, I want that on somebody else instead. So now you are entering the menu one more time, and we're going to run all the way down here to the basement, fight a dragon, get the stone spot, whatever the Maria stone statue is, and that could be another opportunity to enter the menu, and that we do another Esper shuffle that we would have done anyways. So why not do it all at just one time? We know we're coming down here. We know we wanted to come down here. Let's do it all in one time and not 3 times.
Although I would do it on the save because you're opening your menu anyways, and you really want to save at this save point because you haven't saved the entirety of Sapphire Ending Room. If you don't save at the save point, in my opinion, you should not fight the dragon because no matter how strong you are, this dragon can fight you unless your armor is very good.
I would say yes, do that, but I feel pretty safe in my chances of taking this dragon, just because I know I'm way skilled over it. It's not gonna. Dragons inherently are not very scary. That being said, it will catch you by surprise every once in a while. Alright.
Nice.
2 Espers to check.
Very good rewards from error checks.
Alright, so what we got? Empty. Tier 3? Let's let Gao. Oh, Gao needs the Strength Esper. What are you doing? Sure. So, I threw that Esper on Edgar, and there really was no spells on that Esper that are of any value to me, and did that for a reason. I'll show you why. Well, by the way, what does Gold Dragon lead to?
Earth.
If you're talking about statuses, then
Let's
it's sick.
Which we don't have. Yeah, we don't have Berserk. That's alright.
Yeah, this round likes to counter pretty much anything with bolt attacks. It can be very annoying and dangerous if you don't have to do the defense.
This gold dragon has killed me in more runs.
Each dragon will drop a high tier item, which with the current high tier item this, it will guarantee to be something you can use. It has a good chance of being something useful.
Yeah, so they also drop their vanilla reward as long as the item rewards aren't shuffled. So you get whatever it has, and in a lot of the dragon's cases, that's a force armor or a force shield or a muscle belt, crystal orbs. Some of them more useful than others, but they're a nice inventory builder. So if you saw there, Edgar learned a lot of spells that were useful, that were kind of useless, and I had to click through all of those. Doing that once or twice inherently doesn't add that much time, but when you do it pretty much every time you find an Esper, you can easily add a decent chunk, a sizable amount of chunk that could cause you to finish behind somebody if you're not a little bit careful with that, because if you end up doing that 5 or 6 times, the time just kind of escalates and collates on you. So a little more advanced level stuff. Step 1 is kind of get out of the menu. Stay out of the menu less. Step 2 is get efficient with it. Step 3 is minimizing it.
What is the biggest time waster menu of the game?
I would
Probably
say Esper shuffle and then inventory equipment shuffle, because what's better for you, force armor or behemoth suit? Force armor makes you a little safer, behemoth makes you a little stronger. In the end though, I don't think it matters enough to sit there and think about it and flip it around. And all the little scenarios are kind of like that. Just pick one, and then it's okay, I promise, and move on and go on about your business.
For me, it's definitely Esper shuffles. For equipment, I find that optimized is just good enough. They're like very niche edge cases, like optimizing an ammo weapon user. It will always unequip the ammo weapon because the game just doesn't see it as a weapon. And optimizing, say, a Minerva user when you have a Genji armor in your inventory, it will prioritize the Genji armor because Genji armor has more armor, and that's what optimized looks at. But if you understand these niche cases and you know how to play around them, just click the optimize button. It's good.
Yep. Beautifully said.
Okay, who's holding the house here?
I'm gonna say an imp, ghost. Here's a question for you, Pero. If that was an imp or a merchant or imperial as a percent of the ghost, would that give me any type of inclination that what type of Esper or item this could be?
Not on this check. I think there's one check, actually the checks that you can see the reward on the ground, you can discern if they are gonna be an Esper, an item, or a character. That happens, I think, on Keep the Belt, and probably one more check. I don't remember right now.
Phantom Train, or excuse me, not Phantom Train, Doma Dream.
Oh, yes.
It also happens in Zone. If it's an Esper, it'll be a Magicite, and if it's a character, it's a character, and if it's an item, it'll be one of these sprites, one of the NPC sprites.
And then Fanatic's Tower, it will be an Esper if it's an NPC sprite, because it's always guaranteed progression.
Yeah, correct. But in this case, we don't know until we get the pop-up window.
Yeah, so this could be another experience egg, another Atmo weapon. Ooh, nice.
More lightsabers.
Just what we needed. So we'll probably at some point in time go back for that Illumina, and we're still checking shops, but in a normal playthrough, as I kind of joked about, once I find that second experience egg, that's it, we're good to go, because you will come across dead checks. Actually, we're going to showcase a little something here. Somebody may know where I was going for with that, but nevertheless. So when you come across your dead check items, they will kind of build out your inventory and help you round out and complete your builds. So you don't have to find everything right away. You can earmark where that Illumina was, where that offering was. If it's convenient to buy it in the moment, buy it in the moment. But you don't necessarily have to always buy it in the moment, because you may come across one later, something better later, or something just as useful. Alright, so
let's talk about the situation.
yeah,
Um,
there's a looming decision to be made. Nope, now I don't
Oh.
have to make it.
No, we don't have to make it. Okay, so the looming situation is you're 5'6", and your most recent character is Shadow, but this could also be Celeste. There's a very long check that they both have. Celeste has Medcheck Factory, and Shadow has Floating Continent. And he is your most recent character, so it's very likely that he has a character behind him. The question is, do you do the very long check? Because you could like do every single check except the long check, and if this is the one that you need to do, then you're almost guaranteed a slow time. That's just how it is. But we don't have to think about that anymore because we got Mog from Gao's father's house.
Yep. So now we just really need to round out our espers to get our requirements. As you can see, we're in the high 20s, plus we have Mega Terra coming along. Gao is approaching 100 vigor. I'm getting a little creative with my saving build here. I want to showcase a little something that there's just so many ways to get offensive Worlds Collide or in Final Fantasy VI in general that you don't have to have perfect offense every time. Sniper with the correct rage and offering is incredibly powerful. Blitz, I have Blitz on Edgar, which I'm not even giving a second thought, but that's also another very useful build in itself. There's just so much offense in Worlds Collide in Final Fantasy VI that you'll come across something eventually.
I remember a seed. I had +2 magic, but no elemental shields. But I did have a Tempest, and I put the Tempest on the user with the +2 magic, and I used that for my entire early game.
Yep.
The Wind Slashes ended up doing 1,000 damage.
It's so beautiful. So fortunately, he doesn't have hasn't been seeing on the plus Magitek Esper, but
This is a relatively. I think these Skycaps can do both. Are these the Blasters ones?
No, that's a blue
No?
one.
Yep.
Ah, I see.
Sky Base is the one that you were
Sky based, yeah. There's a. It counters with like 3 blasters, and then you'll feel very sad.
alright. So
Do
another
Skycaps
little,
have a chance to use level death, or am I thinking of something else?
that's the floors and the Fortis. Oops, I don't even. Well, I didn't mean to go back there, but you do. That's how you get access to the second item in Locke's Water Run weapon shop. Is that whatever you don't take will appear back there, item or Esper or second item. Yeah, I'm a little. That Tempest only did 500 damage. I was a little underwhelmed, but that is Savin, and Savin isn't known for his magic power. So
If you want to showcase something really funky, you can equip the horn and the boots and make him jump with the Tempest. The game will really enjoy that.
The game will not enjoy this.
Alright.
So, if that was a character, we would see the character sprite for this check. Ooh, Genji Glove, but I already have one.
It is a mystery. And then if you have the tracker, you can see what this is a bit early. I believe we
Quick
know
note.
this is a. Yeah, it's an
Quick
Esper.
note, you can save before doing this and save scum the reward. If you're interested in doing that.
Yeah, in that scenario, if our offense wasn't so incredibly well developed, like we were on the struggle bus to get up here and maybe make it off, then Illumina would have paid off in spades. But Illumina at this point in time would just been, kicking a dead horse, if you will. So no matter what that was, I would have took the option on the left. But if we were more struggled off, I could save. See if that's an Illumina or a Ragnarok or something else I needed. Something to complete Merton protection, for example. And then take that and go through the cave on the Water Ruin and get that reward. So here is my favorite thing about Kefket Narsh is that all of these green guys will be the same fight. So this is a pretty good fight.
No,
It's totally quick. we're getting all of these good rage encounters. Like we got Woody, we got GT Behemoth. We had a
what
rage
else
character.
is it? Except for that part. That's the only part that's bad about this. Other than that, Wooly is great. Alright, let's you can fight all the Woolies and his friends you want with these green guys. I suggest if you choose to do that, you do that the path on the right of your screen, because they will respawn on the left and get your way over and over again. Oh no, I was... Okay. Thought I was late. How does the battle mechanic for this fight work, Fucking Hit?
There is an internal timer. In Most Collide, it is between 5 and 60 seconds.
55.
55 seconds? 5 and 55 seconds. And once it crosses it, when you defeat all of the fish on the screen, Rizopus will appear. In the vanilla game, I believe it is a set amount of time, but in World Collide, it is randomized because it is a randomizer.
In the vanilla game, it's set based on your seed, so you have to do a little seed manipulation. But if you're speed running, you're probably doing the seed move to 240, so we'll have a shorter timer. Nevertheless, we randomize everything. Everything humanly possible. You can even change Terra's hair.
This is one of the very few fights that you do not want to wait trick, because he will stall the timer for the Rizopus to appear. And speaking of weight tricking, that is one aspect of running this randomizer that every new player should practice a lot, because it can save your life in multiple occasions, especially in the final fight. So maybe we can talk a little bit about weight tricking.
Yeah, I think in the next fight we'll go over a little bit. We're just going to get through Rizopus here because he's a fish out of water and we got to put him out of his misery.
Yurik asks, what are lock checks in Narc? Lock has his Narc weapon shop check in World of Narc, and in order to get the second item from that check, you have to have Terra, and then after doing Wealth Cave, you go to the transition to the north, and then there's a Narc guard there, you talk to him, and he will give you the second item. Or the second option, because sometimes you want the item over, like, say, an Esper. I've taken an experience egg over an Esper, and then felt really sad when I was 6'8", looking for my last Esper, and I found 4 straight dead checks. Thanks, Pero. That was a banger seed.
You're welcome.
Alright, so we have Kefka Tower unlock. Let's rehash our little virtual notes, guys. Who remembers where the Illumina was?
Albruk? Zen? I want to say Albruk, but I don't remember.
I believe it's World of Balance, Albrook.
It is. And then where was the offering, guys?
You got this, Pharaoh, I believe.
Oh, Nikea. We got out of the trench and got there.
Yep.
Right?
Yes, indeed. Very well done.
Ooh.
So let's go. We can only pick one of the two, I think. No, maybe we have more money than I realize. Yeah, so let's pick the Illumina. I want a good gauntlet. Let Illumina build. That can go.
Maybe we should be able to buy both.
The gold everything can actually go. Let's see if we can buy both. Here's a little tip. If you're ever in this situation where you're like, maybe I should go to point B and see if I can afford it, go ahead and sell your stuff here and then see if you can get there. If you can't get there, then you just don't go to point B. I do want to keep that Aura Lance for my jumper. I'm also about to go.
Do you want to keep that Aura Lance? Having, like...
I'm going to put it back on Sabin.
I personally think that Genji Atma is better than Atma Offering, unless you have an experience egg. Then it makes does so much damage.
What damage?
I also like the ability.
What damage penalty does an Atma weapon suffer with an offering?
like with any other weapon with offering, well, except for special circumstances, it offering reduces the damage of a weapon by half, but you swing 4 times, so you can think of it as doubling damage. This is useful for weapons that are very high damage, like the ammo weapon, if you get a high enough level. Because eventually you're going to reach damage cap with a single swing, right? So it's going to be extra damage if you equip an offering. It's also very useful for weapons that don't do standard damage, because non-standard damage is not half. These weapons include fixed dice and also the Valiant Knife. But for the lost HP damage, I believe the Valiant Knife has a weapon damage component to it that does get halved, but we really only care about the lost HP damage.
One thing to mention about the offering, I don't know if it's absolutely obvious, but offering makes you hit with 100% accuracy, and that doesn't matter for a bunch of monsters that have very high evasion, like Magic Master, for example, and also for Final Kefka. Tier 4 of the Final Kefka fight has a lot of evasion,
Yes,
and
it does.
if you go to that fight, you will notice that you will start missing hits, even if you are not blinded or anything. Like if you go like single swinging a Ragnarok or an ammo weapon or a BK without an offering, you'll notice that you will miss hits, and that is because the high evasion. So there is a point in equipping an offering for the final fight, because it eliminates that chance to miss. And you don't want to miss a swing. It happened to me, missing one Atma or Ragnarok swing while Kefka is charging Goner and your entire party is 1 HP. You do not want to miss that swing.
So I'm not gonna do it, but remember that Strength plus 2 Esper Gal has had Quick on it. If I wanted to throw that Quick on another character, now would be the time to do it, because I'm gonna learn it in just this one fight. But I'm just gonna leave it off. I'm just gonna let Gal keep it for now. What I'm doing is what a lot of players do, is just kind of round about their levels and their equipment. Is go ahead and take the Opera Dragon, because it's incredibly quick and fast to get to, and it will push your levels up just to a little more comfortable level to make it through your Kefka Tower climb. Because we're blazing through everything right now, but our party is about to become pauperized, because we have to divide it down to a bunch of players into just into whatchamacallit, single parties, and we are incredibly at risk of running into a dangerous boss. I am being attacked by a dog. I apologize if you can hear that. But while we are smacking right now, we are about to no longer be smacking, potentially.
Right, because enemies are generally not that threatening when you're at this level, because you have 4 characters. It's like a 4 versus 1. But when you enter KTA, it can become a 1v1 very quickly.
Yep.
And you have to know, well, I like to construct my party in a way that I will handle enemies that I know can be problems, like Magic Master, but also like the Spicy Chicken can be very hazardous, because if you have a physical only character, say like a jumper, he has autosave, and you at most you'll probably be dealing like 3,000 damage around, and this chicken is very healthy.
Yep.
It will take a very long time, so you want to be able to, like, oh, you can jump with an Aura Lance, but you can also jump with an ammo weapon. An ammo weapon ignores defense, so you can deal a lot more damage.
Alright, so there was a number of ways that I could have done this, but the way I'm going to tackle this is that Edgar's going to take his own lane. We're going to let Terra and Mog go their own lane, and then that jumping Sabin. Jumping is a fantastic ability for a 1v1 fight, and we're going to let him take his own lane.
Another way you can tackle this is if there's an overlap between your character's equipment. For example, Edgar has an Illumina right now, but he can also equip the Atma weapon that Terra has on. So you can swap your equipment sets between characters for more favorable fight. Say Edgar has to deal with a Magic Master. The Illumina, not very good. But Atma Offering is very, very good. So you can just reset out, swap equipment, you get through the fight. Easy peasy.
Yeah, not just a Match Master, but there are a certain amount of high defense bosses that can give you a lot of trouble, like Spicy Chicken, Doomgaze, even Tritok if you don't have fire damage can roadblock you completely if you don't have defense ignoring damage.
I apologize. My wife came. Hey, my dogs are very excited about that.
Show your dogs in chat.
Okay, they ran away. Alright, guys. So I'm going the way through where I'm just doing the fastest way through. I'm skipping all of the optional fights. And we're only going to do the required fights within here. I will say I'm keeping I like to keep the experience egg on for the first fight right here. Just to be a little greedy because there's a save point, you can just kind of save scum this. But for the next fight, which will be the Guardian spot farther up, we're going to take it off and go ahead and put the offering on. That way it's a little more risky because it's a lot farther to traverse to get back up to that spot. As opposed to just reloading and you're right back here again.
And at this point, you kind of want to start thinking about what bosses are left in the pool. We didn't fight many dangerous bosses. We only fought, I think, Doom at the Baron Falls, and did we fight any other annoying bosses? I think all of them are still around.
Yeah, it's a very robust pool.
I think there are more dangerous bosses than not dangerous bosses.
Well, also
this could be a killer KT.
It could, and if we run into that, we'll tackle the ways that you can kind of counteract that. We do have warp stones, so we can warp out at any point in time in here. And that's a very viable strategy. Is you just kind of complete the statue bosses that you can defeat up here, and then you warp out and you reform your party into a composition that can tackle those formations.
I mean, 2 of the lanes are safe because we have 2 lanes that can equip Admin Offering. I am not sure if Sabin can do that. Sabin can equip the VK though, so if...
Oh, great heads up play. Great heads up catch there when I went to the menu.
Yeah, I think if I didn't misread, I think Sabin and Gao were the ones that were able to use the VK, so he's kind of safe. He could jump with the VK.
Yeah, and then remember, while your party is compromised, before you ever think about warping out to a tough fight, think about what you can pass between your characters, because obviously you don't want that to carry over into the final Kefka battle, but that offering everybody can wear, so as long as they have something that they can pair it with that's very powerful, that offering can be shared to tackle all those monsters. And it's far faster to pass an offering from Terra to Edgar than it is to warp out and walk all the way back through here again.
Okay, this Dullahan shouldn't pose much difficulty here. Should go down in 1 or 2 more turns. He's already in cure phase, so that's about it.
A little risk reward here because I could have kept that experience egg on and I would have been in no trouble whatsoever. But again, we kind of touched on it. There's a lot of scary bosses left, so a little risk reward play there, and I didn't take the risk, so no biscuit.
This is definitely the most dangerous spot because if you wipe on, well, right before you get a save point, you have to do the entire walk.
Yep.
I have done this walk of shame many a time.
Yeah.
Guardians want Magic Master. Whoa.
No, maybe this is the one because we still have leader out there.
All the bosses are hiding in floating continent. If you want floating continent, you made the wrong decision.
What does Stunner do, Pero? Why is Stone Cold in this game?
Stunner is a Sortic. It's Sortic 6 and it's magic based. It will hit all enemies for non-elemental damage. I do not remember the spell power, but you can basically choose some Stunner if you stack some magic power. It's pretty fast animation, and I love it. It's one of my favorite Sortics.
I think the spell power is about 85. One of the properties of a stunner is also that it doesn't do split damage. So if you're against multiple enemies, you want to use it. You want to use stunner.
Yeah, and also Stunner can apply stop, which is useful for Spicy Chicken and for phase 2 of the final Kefka fight.
Alright, so what would be some good espers I would potentially want to equip here if I had them? I'm not having any of them, but there are some other ones I would want to have here.
Alright. Obviously, we need 3 main things for making Final Kefka as smooth as it can be, and we need a source of mute, a source of instant death, and a source of calmness protection. And I do think you have Exo, so that covers your instant death. I did not see mute. Do you have Siren? Because I kind of miss your Esper list.
I don't have Siren, but I did learn Mute.
Oh, okay, so mute is covered. And so the last piece of the puzzle would be calmness protection. So calmness is an attack that is going to happen at the end of tier 3, as we're going to see in a little bit. And it's a physical attack that inflicts instant death, and you can only avoid it if you evade it. And there are a few espers that help you do that. So you have Fenrir, which grants you image status. You have Golem, which summons a Golem that blocks attacks for you, so you absorb the calmness. And then there's Phantom that gives you Banish status. It's a little bit more tricky to use, but also effective versus calmness. And if you don't have any of those 3, then you can use Life 3, which is a little bit slower, but also will revive your character after death.
Question for you, Falcon Hit. Ultros did ink on Edgar there, so that ink is inflicts dark on a character, which essentially makes them almost unable to land their physical attacks. But Edgar was able to connect with his Illumina there. Why was that?
It's because Lumina has 255 hit rate, which means it will always hit, no matter what. Except against it. Work against Spanish targets? It's so very rare that this comes up. It probably doesn't, right?
No, it does. I don't think it hits Vanish, but it does hit. It hits image targets.
Yep. Very well put.
And yeah, there are not many 100% hit rate weapons. I think all of them are gonna be dice, fixed dice, and Illumina. I think that's about it. And if you equip an offering, then accuracy is not even calculated. You will hit them.
This is one of the situations where you want to equip the Valiant Knife over the Orlance because Ifrit has a lot of armor.
So, what other options I have to get through that fight?
You could just throw ice rods. You could get out of your you could switch. You could get the offering off of Terra. You could get offering instead. Or if you want to be really fast, you can phase between Shiver and Ifrit, and then start running in between when they change forms, and that will allow you to run away. The classic, naked save it.
That's all right.
Purchase them.
You can buy armor after you beat the game. That's okay though, because I did take the red jacket off of 7 earlier because he will be in the air a little more often than not. So that's perfectly fine if he doesn't have armor. If the RNG targets him over and over again, then so be it. The odds of that happening versus the odds of me running around trying to find another red jacket or a piece of armor for him, or the time that will take, you're better off taking this chance.
All right, we're getting into final fight here. We're gonna get a menu come up. So
Ooh, menu.
So what is the party? Quick,
thought I
quick,
was
quick,
supposed to
quick,
stay out
what
of
is the
menus.
party? What is the party?
Pop quiz. So it's Shadow, Strago, Yamaro. That feels good. That feels right.
In situations like this where you don't have combat distraction, if you know you have like an okay fifth character, you can put a fifth character in the slot. Because it's very likely that one of your characters will die to combos.
If that character isn't an okay fifth character, just an alive fifth character is ideal.
A not Omaro character is ideal.
What? What'd you say? No, I'm kidding.
So let's talk about tier 1. What is the ideal tier 1?
So why am I over and over Quake in tier 1? Why could those two things be related?
okay, so tier 1, it's basically a lot of punches in your face. Every piece, I mean the two arms, do a lot of high physical damage. And there is a little bit of a quirk in the order you need to kill these parts of the first part of the boss. If you do leave the head for last, it will death counter with Quake, dealing massive AoE damage to your entire party. And that is bad. You will probably lose a character down the road unless you have a high HP. If you leave the long arm for last, then you get anywhere between 0 and 3 shockwaves, I think. And those are also a lot of damage. And so basically what you want to do is an ideal tier 1 will be insta-killing the long arm because it is weak to instant death, then taking care of the head, and then finally leave the short arm for the last because it will not death counter with anything, but the short arm has a high chance of countering with very nasty physical attacks. So whoever deals the last hit, make sure he can survive the last hit.
Why is Whirlwind a bad option there for healing?
Want to take this one, Falcon?
Sure. Whirlwind heals based off of the user's HP. So you saw that Terra had 449 HP, and Whirlwind healed for 449. So if your character is low health, it will heal for very low amounts. But if your character is very high health, heal a lot.
So I kind of act with Gal there to illustrate a point. Gal only did 2,000 damage, which is not very good. As you can see, I can have Terra do far more damage than that. Once you start learning boss scripts, you will learn that you are better off not letting weaker characters act just because you can trigger a bunch of counterattacks you don't want. So in that case, Gal swings, he does 2,000 damage, and then he turns around and gets smacked in the face for even more, or gets Terra smacked in the face for even more damage than he dealt. And I need Terra at higher HP than what she's at right now, so if we can utilize her Atma swings. So that's why, generally, why you don't want weaker characters acting. You'll trigger a bunch of counter attacks that are unnecessary, and just slow you down overall versus the damage you deal.
This is the paradox of Atma weapon late game, where if you don't have a very strong cure, your Atma weapon. Okay, so Atma weapon is based on your level and the difference between your max health and your current health. So it will deal max damage at max health, and it'll deal continuously less damage as you lose health. So if you will have an Atma user, generally you don't want them to have a lot of HP because you want them to be as much as possible. Like in this seed, Terra had, I think, a plus 50% Esper, and you can see how much it is a struggle to like heal her back to full health. If you have a lot of X potions, if you have a lot of elixirs, it's fine. If you have Cure 3, we have Cure 3 the seed, but it's not really on a character with a lot of magic power, so it is a bit of a struggle to keep Terra's health at max. Say, if in comparison to say if Terra had like a normal amount of max HP, like Edgar's max HP, right? It's 2300. It'd be much easier, and then she would be able to do full damage.
One thing I really like to do with Adma users is if I'm running Merton, just equip a Flame Shield or Rage Ring or Paladin Shield in it, and then just go ham with Merton, and it will pretty much keep the Adma user off HP the entire fight. Super nice. Alright, so tier 2. Favorite tier, anyone? This is probably
it's
the
in my
most
top
annoying
4 of
part of the final
tiers.
fight. What can we say about this tier, Falcon?
Is probably one of the most dangerous parts of Kefka. Mostly because in many fights of West Glad, it's like you're 4v1, right? You have 4 party members to the 1 enemy. But in this one, it's a 4v4 fight. And they have very nasty abilities that can very quickly snowball a fight out of control, right? Part of Tiger's script, for example, is when he falls below a certain, one of the abilities you can use is End Cross, which will freeze. It's a full party ability to freeze. That can, like, say it's 2 of your party members are frozen. Then it becomes a 4 or 2v4, where you're very outnumbered. If you don't have fire to thaw your party members, I believe freeze is 90 seconds of real in-game, of real time. And in that, anything can happen in those 90 seconds. And then eventually, when Tiger goes below 50% health, he has a chance to follow up his attack with Doom Test. So you can imagine a scenario where you're like you have a lot of distributed damage like this. Say you're using Burton, or you're using Atma Offering, or you're using Enigma, and then Tiger gets a chance to attack. It does End Cross, freezing 2 of your party members, into Doom Tusk, zombifying 1 of your non-frozen party members. Suddenly, you go from like a favorable position into suddenly you're 1v4, and you have to like go into a very bad recovery mode.
Yeah. And you can expect your VK or fixed dice user to be zombified. I don't know. They have a magnet for zombie status. And
So,
there's nothing more dangerous than a zombified VK user in this game.
Yeah, for sure. So my advice in this fight is to take each part one at a time if you can. If you have mute magic, that takes care of one part of tier 2. If you have instant death tools, that will take care of another part of tier 2. And then after those 2 are dealt with, you have to focus down Tiger, because he is, in my opinion, the most dangerous. And then afterwards, you play it by ear. If you're vulnerable to 10 hits, you can kill hit before magic, because even if magic is not muted, on his death counter, he will not be able to kill you, because he will only be able to quarter dispel. Whereas if you have low armor and hit is the last to die, he will 10 hits, and you have a chance of a character dying. And then you go up to the next phase before you have a chance to recover.
Alright, so now we are into tier 3, and this one is where we learn to count. If you don't know how to count, you're gonna learn how to count.
I just learned how to count to 4 right there.
Alright.
4 straight into rest. A fantastic start.
Let's do that one more time. Let's see what happens.
So this part of the boss fight.
No, up to the left, to the left, to the left, to the left.
Oh my god! This is funny. So what happens here is we want to kill Girl first, which is the part of the boss that heals the other one, and it absorbs all the damage. So we want to
Is it rested in video phase already?
Yep.
Yep, 30-ish thousand.
Alright, so how can I get out of this, guys?
Revivify, your best friend versus this kind of situation.
Yeah, when you 1 in 8.
Revivify heals for an 1/8 of your HP, and since Sleep has 40,000 HP, it will heal for 5,000. So you can get him out of melee range, which is at 10,240 HP. He will start doing medio every turn, and that is very nasty. It's non-elemental damage, defense ignoring, so you want to avoid that. So a normal tier 3, in a normal tier 3, not this one, you will kill Girl first, because if you happen to kill Sleep first, girl will revive him. So you want to get rid of her first, and then take care of Sleep by reducing his HP just above the meteor phase. So ideally, you want to avoid getting the meteor storm, like we saw a little bit ago.
What was?
And-
I'm sorry. Go ahead, my dog.
No.
I'd used that on the wrong person. Whoops. I was doing
You were gonna
math.
ask? Okay.
So what were the odds of Terra there doing all swings on Sleep back-to-back turns?
I think the game weights the targets a little bit, so it's even lower than it should be. Like usually, if you have 2 targets, it's 2 and 2. That's like what you usually see. Maybe 3 and 1, but 4, 0, twice in a row. That's very rare, like, exceedingly rare. So I would expect a number in the bajillions. That's my estimation.
Well, if there's 2 targets and then you pick between the 2, it's 1 and 2, 1 and 4, 1 and 8, then 1 and 16. And then to do it one more time, it would be 1 and 32, 1 and 64, 1 and 128, and then 1 and 256. So a bit size, a 1 in 256 chance of that being the situation if they're unweighted. And just a
I don't know.
50-50
I'd say it's
chance.
about 50-50. Either it happens or it doesn't.
Yeah. Anyways.
So
up to
rest in
tier
peace,
4.
Saban. You will be missed. But Terry didn't die, and that's all that matters. And again, put your 5th character. If you don't have a good 5th character, just put a 1 that's alive, because let's say he took out Edgar, Edgar died to Medio. That way Shadow can just Phoenix down him. He doesn't have to be Phoenix down to be useful. He's somewhat useful right now.
Alright. Final Kefka. 62,000 HP, kill him as fast as you can. What are the phases of Final Kefka, Falcon?
Okay, so the first phase, it's from full HP to 32,000 HP. He'll do his normal script. Once he falls below 32,000 HP, his next attack will be Charging Goner, and during this, or once he falls below 32,000 HP, he will start countering your attacks with either a normal attack, hyperdrive, or nothing. And when he gets his next turn, he will start Charging Goner like this. And in this phase, you want to throw as much offense as you can, because he will not counter you.
What happens if you eat a Goner and then you need to recover to kill him?
He will continue to start countering. When he goes below 10,000, I think his counters change.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But we'll never see none of that, because
Yeah. This party was crazy strong.
It was crazy strong. But generally, the way you think about it is you want to get as close to 30,000 as possible. Say 29,000. So he's just above the threshold to start going to counter base. Then you want to do your strongest attack, but you want to go as far over the threshold as possible. And then a part of this is also calculating how much damage you're trying to do in one rotation, because the Gunner chart is about one party rotation. So in this case, Terra would deal 16,000 because Admiral Weapon it ignores defense, so you can calculate it very well. And a shield break is generally about 7,000 damage. So the full party would deal about 30,000 damage. So if you can get him below 30,000 HP, you can kill him during counter charge.
Excellent.
Right.
GG's, my dog.
GG.
Great run.
So now that we defeat the final boss, now we can go back and find the armor.
Yo, true.
Can finally dress up Steven.
No, so that was another rendition of the Moogle's First Seed using the Moogle flag. If I liked what I was seeing, Peril, where could I get some more of this and maybe get access to a wiki and the ability to generate seeds and explore Worlds Collide?
Ooh, you can go to www.ff6worldscollide.com, and in the landing page you're gonna get a link to the Discord with the most fantastic community ever. And then you're gonna get a link to the wiki and also a link to the seed creator, where you can select Moogle Cup as a preset, which is the configuration, the flag set that we were using for this run. Also, alternatively, if you don't like the website, or if you want to do it like in a cooler way, like us, the cool kids do, you can use Seedbot in Discord to roll your seeds. And you can even add extras like palette shifting or tunes randomizer and all that kinds of goodies.
And then Falconit, before we bolt off, do you have any closing thoughts or anything else you'd like to throw out there for people watching this Moogle's first seed and learning the game?
I'd like to say that if you find a difficult seed, you should, let's say you die to like, you go for an early dragon, you die like 3 times to this dragon, you should keep at this seed, because not all seeds are going to be like cakewalks, right? I have had seeds where I've died to an early dragon, lost 4 minutes, and then I still ended up with a sub 110. And I'm just like, oh, okay, that's nice. But like, not all seeds will be cakewalks, I guess is what the main point I'm trying to get at. So you, in practice, you have to face adversity so that when you get to like the real thing, say you're just running an Ultra League seed, say you just want to get a really good time in like or like in a tournament, right? Because the next tournament will be coming out.
Which is called what, Pero? Can you confirm?
I'm not
we
sure.
We don't know. We don't know.
Right at this point.
I'm messing with you. We don't know, ladies and gentlemen.
It is redacted.
We know it's working. We know it's a work in progress. That's what Ollie told us. So.
Yeah, just in addition to what Falcon said, just don't try to roll seeds until you get the perfect start and the perfect setup. Just roll one and get to the end, and try to be able to finish as many seeds, as many different seeds as possible. Because in a tournament scenario, there are no rerolls. There are just the seed that you're gonna have to run. And if you cannot get through it, then you're in trouble. So that's my advice. Just even if it's a very bad struggle and you get like a Gogo Mato Strago Star or something like that, try to power through the seed. That's how you learn to overcome even the worst scenarios.
I will echo that sentiment with a little caveat. I do feel that if you're consistently running into seeds where you struggle, then get help. We watched this video. If you've ended up at this point from this video, maybe you already had. We do have a new player tournament called the Moogle Cup. It is an ongoing event throughout our Worlds Collide community that is designed to help new players learn and grow the game. But to kind of follow up with what they said with only trying to play fast seeds are fun and all, and it's important to know in those tournament settings, or just in general, that when you kind of recognize you have a fast seed, to be able to capitalize on it and go fast. But those are the exceptions and not the norm. If you want to get better at Worlds Collide, you just have to learn how to play the seed the way it lies. Sometimes it gives you Luminas, sometimes it gives you 2 experienced eggs that started off right now. Sometimes it gives you a Tempest, and sometimes it gives you a Sniper that you have to utilize. And the more you're able to learn the various ways to craft offense, the better you are off, the better you will grow. And if you are watching this, I assume you want to get better at Worlds Collide and have faster times. And the more you are able to diversify your offense and your knowledge of the game, the better you will be.
Yeah, and I would say this game, this randomizer in particular, is about 75% knowledge and experience, not so much execution. So there are many execution parts of this run, maybe a little bit of the NPC skips that we use, like the Kefka Nar stuff. There's very little execution in this, so if you just focus on learn your fights, learn your bosses, learn the weakness, learn the items, learn the little quirks of the mechanics of this game, that's gonna go a long way into making your runs faster.
Yep, very, very well said, Falcon Hit. Very well said, Pero. Thank you, everybody that tuned in and watched us. Thank you, Falcon Hit, for joining us this afternoon. Thank you, Pero, for this was again your idea to redo this with Moogle Cup flags. Fantastic idea. I'm glad we were able to accomplish this. And to everybody else watching, again, one more time, FF6 Worlds Collide, resources to our Discord, our wiki, everything you want, and then some you can find there. And with that, I guess we will bid everybody adieu.
All right. Pleasure as always, and I'll see you peeps around. Take care.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you bet.